So I find myself in this predicament where I don't go out of my way to engage with people unless there's like a necessity for me to. It's not something that I go and actively seek for leisure purposes. And I was wondering if some of you who are watching this are in the same mindset, or if it's something that it's very much me and I'm in a minority position. For me, it's always been that I always found people to be antagon. That because we live in a competitive society, since I was in school, that ultimately there was always competition with other kids. I was always involved into fights, or how I was doing academically relative to others, how hard I was in terms of being strong physically compared to others. So for me, I never saw people as generally friendly towards me. I always saw that we live in a society where yeah, people respect one another, but at the same time, there is always that element of competition. That when somebody is you know in a in a competitive context, which school can be, because ultimately we are judged. You are judged in terms of grades and how you behave yourself, so your conduct, and ultimately there is always going to be an element of competition brewing from that. Whether it's in a also outside of school, whether you play a sport or an instrument or any other social activity that you may undertake that requires you to be part of a group, and within that group there's always going to be somebody who's going to be probably more praised than others, and that can create animosity and competition, and you know a handful of people wanted to you know do better than the others, and in a way, that's what capitalism does. It's a society that yes, in a way, we all have to collectively engage productively with one another, but at the same time, there's always an element of competition. And I was wondering if you experienced that, and what you think about this point of view. Are we all ultimately potentially just in a rat race against one another, or is there a way that we can enter into friendships, relationships without having to constantly feel like we have to prove ourselves in a way of worth in what we do, what we achieve, and what we are as people. I feel like that's in this society it's almost impossible to do that now. It's just too competitive in every aspect for people to just be happy with others' success without necessarily comparing how well they are doing relative to the other person, whether it's a friend or a work colleague or a family member. But yeah, let me know your approach. Thank you.